Peggy Cross.
Cross.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm a singer.
Hi, my name is Peyton, and I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with more requested reactions, and we'll be reacting to a group for the very first time today, STAYC.
Today we are reacting to STAYC's debut and their first comeback. Their debut was So Bad, and their first comeback just happened recently called ASAP. But we don't know too much about them at all. We just looked at their profile for the first time, and we have learned that they are a 6-member girl group from High Up Entertainment, and they're very young, but they debuted in November of last year. So yeah. Their debut has been requested for a while, but we were waiting for something to pair it with, and they just had a comeback. So now there's something to pair it with. So let's go! Disco.
In space. Space Jam.
Space Jam! Oh my god, do they even know what Space Jam is?
Probably not.
Oh no.
Not the original. Wow!
I like the line in the background that's been going like
I like the emojis.
Yeah, they've been using a lot of emojis. It's very like futuristic.
Telling you it's Space Jam.
Yeah, because the song too is all like the brighter synths. But then there's that scene, that set with like the disco
It's like a disco
balls,
ball with like
but
the
also,
balloon.
Oh.
STAYC Girls. Is that their intro? Like their Insta?
I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Oh.
Because they said that at the beginning, too.
I feel like the neon wig is so trendy. Like,
It's so bright.
it's very bright. The hairography is also real, like in their individual shots and in the choreography. Which makes sense. They all have really long hair, except for, well, okay, most of them have really long hair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, that went down instead.
She has space buns. I'm telling you, not letting go of the Space Jam thing.
I really like that one girl's voice. You don't really hear that a lot in K-pop. Her.
It's like deeper.
Yes, but also just like the quality, like the texture is different.
I know what you're saying. I still have the words for it.
It's literally just like space disco.
Yeah.
I've been trying to, that's how I'm gonna describe this genre style of music.
Space disco.
Yeah. Oh, I like how they ended it.
Oh. Yeah. So, this is really high energy, which makes sense because we've talked about this before. For rookie groups, you usually are wanting to show off like how much energy you have and like you're ready to go and you're sort of like gearing to conquer the world. This is exactly that, especially when I was watching the dance practice. I was like, wow, this never ever stops. ever. Even during the pre-chorus and the bridge, which are usually where choreographies will slow down a little bit and like they'll get a little bit more mellow. So that's usually what that's usually where the song is a little bit more mellow. This one, they're continually moving because even if it's not as high intensity as like the choruses are, they're stretching through their lines and extending all the way. They change facings, they'll flip their hair because, like I said, there's a lot of hairography. It's kind of like unintentional hairography. It's not like they're pulling on their hair or something, but it's just the amount of turning, flipping, changing that they do. And 5 of 6 of them have long hair, so it's like flying everywhere, which adds to the energy actually, because it's like sending energy in all different directions. Something else I thought was really interesting was the chorus choreos had variation in them, but I realized like they never completely changed. Like a lot of the key choreographies stayed the same through all 3, but each one they had changed up in like a distinct way. So the first one, they all did it together, sort of all facing the same way. The second one I think was actually my favorite. I liked how they changed it there the best. They had split in half, and it was really cool because the way the formation was like a triangle with 3 in the center, and the points of the triangle were doing the original high-speed choreography, and in the center 3 were doing like slow sustained like reaches or like meltdown. And so it was a really interesting contrast, and then they all kind of like synced back up and did the second half of the chorus choreography together. And then the third one also, they built on it where they were spread further apart, but they were moving around as they did the choreography instead of staying in place. So even though the choreographies themselves didn't change too much, they were showing the progression of the song and like the progression of energy in the song by switching up how intricate it was through each of the choruses. Also, something else that really stuck out to me was this was so percussive. Like their dancing had so many isolations in it, especially chest isolations. It was just really percussive. Like there was a lot of really accented movements, accented chest isolations, accented arms. There wasn't a ton of very like smooth places. So when there were smoother sections, like in the pre-chorus, it really stuck out. But then my last thing was just about the music video. It was sort of mesmerizing because of the filters that they had on it. And like, I think you said it was space disco. I'm still going with Space Jam, but I agree, space disco. But it had that sort of like glam disco filter over it where everything's like really sparkly and like the colors are a little bit darker. And it sort of is like mesmerizing as you watch it. So, Anna's turn.
Hello. So for my comments, my first comment note that I wrote down was about it being space disco. And it is space disco, not Space Jam, because they aren't doing any sort of sports in this music video. So, disco. You were saying the music video has like the disco shots, like the glam shots, which I was thinking as well. Because it also adds the like dreamy feeling to it. And those really show up the most during like the pre-choruses and when I'm thinking about it. Because the pre-choruses are the like softer sections of the song. Throughout the entire song, the beat is just constantly divided into eighth notes where it's just like the the whole time, which is like this driving force, lots of energy. And like in the pre-chorus, it's not multiple layers dividing the beat into every single eighth note, but there is still like a beat divide with the melody being sung, and there's a synth line that will like sometimes double that melody, but then it'll also play on its own, and it's not divided as much as it has been before, but it's still like that more relief section of the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is very short, and then it immediately goes back into like, chorus. So there's just like a lot of energy going on. Also, like the song, I'm not surprised that it's very synth heavy, honestly, basically just synths, given the concept that it's going for. And there's like so many different layers happening. There's like the lower pitch, like grounded bass sounds, but then there's also like these really high pitched synths, and like some of them are like chimey, like dreamlike. Other ones, there's like a lot of sort of video game sound effects that you would hear, which automatically makes me think of like the space video games. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was that one girl who has the short hair with the deep voice. I don't know her name, I'm sorry, but I really enjoyed her parts because like one, it's a deeper voice, which is like kind of a break from all the stuff that's been going on. And also, like I was saying, you don't really hear that kind of voice in a girl group that often, or just in K-pop really. That doesn't really happen, because the songs are always so high-pitched. She is like a true alto. Even in the lower pitches, it's not like breathy, like it doesn't sound like breathy or anything, like it's just sound and it's clear and it's rounded. Other members who are singing like those same pitches, it's different because their tone qualities are just and their voices are just naturally different. Whereas I would describe hers as like a little bit rounder. Theirs are more like piercing, sort of. More like versus. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Next.
Okay, so for our second video today, we'll be watching STAYC in their first comeback, which just happened recently, ASAP. So let's get to it. ASAP.
This is cuter.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised.
I am also thinking though, with the seasons that the two songs came out in, it does make sense.
This is spring.
Yeah.
Except this is very distorted bass.
Is that the Grand Budapest Hotel? Was that a movie reference?
I think you're really cool. Oh, but
like
now they're
book.
using like, yeah, comic book pop art stuff. Because last time was all the emojis. Oh, trendy.
But yeah, the dance too.
This makes me think of like the TikTok songs.
I was gonna say, it kind of reminds me of a TikTok dance. I bet there was a challenge for it. There was definitely a challenge for this.
But like every K-pop release has a TikTok challenge nowadays.
That's fair.
What was that piano line? What? Huh? What was that line? It's just cute. Oh, she alighted.
The third chorus is the same again, but the formations are changing.
Oh yeah, they didn't resolve.
Let's start with the actual music video itself. It's super trendy, which is very on brand. Like, it's very age appropriate. But it was funny because after we filmed and we were looking at like the thumbnail, and I was like, well, I mean, it has some like flashbacks to more like old school things. Old school as in when I was a child, like the magazine scrapbooking and stuff where you like cut it out and that sort of thing. And then Anna was like, isn't that back in like style now? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like trendy to be old school now. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. The comic books though, and like the pop art sort of comic book style, I really enjoyed, especially because of how the sets and like the effects were transferring over into like the aspect ratio, because a lot of times for their individual scenes, they would pop out their face, and sometimes it was like fully popped out, sometimes it was a smaller box, and so it felt like you were getting that sort of comic book experience with the paneling in the actual music video. And so I liked how cohesive the actual like set was with how it had been edited. Also, I really do think it was referencing the Grand Budapest Hotel at some point, but like, I don't know. Anyways, let's go to the dance. They make some really interesting shapes in this, and I had noticed it in So Bad too. And it happens especially during the deep voiced rapper. Happens especially during her parts, which I thought was really interesting. She already stands out because of her voice and like the sections that she has, but then this makes it stand out in the choreography even more. Like I think in So Bad they were doing like a heart with their arms, but in this, when she first starts, they make like a clock and she's like the hand of the clock while she's rapping. Lots of hairography again. This time it feels a lot more intentional because in So Bad it was like, oh, we're turning a lot, but this time it's like, and we're gonna flip our head and go that way. And so like they're purposefully making the hair flip. And so like we were saying during the reaction, like that ASAP section, it really feels like a TikTok dance. Like honestly, when I watched the full dance practice version, the whole thing could be broken into a TikTok dance, but like especially that section and the dance break, which just goes with that like trendier theme that they're pulling and how they're dressed and how it's edited and the sets that they have. I wanted to clarify, I hope that everyone knows that when we're saying that, we're not saying it as like a dig or a bad thing. It's just like that's the vibe that it's giving off. Because like in terms of dance, there's a lot of really impressive dancing on TikTok. It's just that the way that the dances are composed, they're made to be easily learnable and like easily followable so that other people can learn them and try them out as well. And that's how it's made in that section. Like you can see it and you're like, oh, okay, like I could watch this a couple of times and do it. But then last thing, so the choreo composition again, the choruses seem to all stay the same, but they were playing with their formations again and how they were building on it to make it get more energetic each time like they had done in So Bad. But I also thought that they played with their formations a lot more in this one with like facing the back, facing each other, moving away from each other and apart. So it was making a lot more interesting shapes in the choreography. So that was entertaining. Anne's turn.
Hello, so for my comments, starting with the first note that I have, once again, the song is like very synth heavy, but I mean like it's a trendy song and like it's gonna focus mainly on like synth sounds. I think it's interesting though because like based on the music video shots that you were seeing and the way that they're dressed, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like very light and bright and sweet, and like it is for most of the song, but the really deep distorted bass completely threw me off at first. I was like, oh, this is so different from like all like the white, pink, pastel colors that you're seeing. I think the only time where they aren't really using synths is during the bridge. Let me just, before I move on, get my about the bridge out of the way first, because I'm sure you could tell by the reaction where I was just like, excuse me, what's going on? What? This whole song has been more like sweet, super sweet. But the bridge brings in, first of all, a piano. And also this is like the only section where they're doing a more like minor-y line. The melody that they're singing and like the background piano that you hear, I'll be like, okay, like I can see where this is going. And then all of a sudden there'll be a note or a chord where I'm like, what? That came out of nowhere because it's like becoming more minor-y. And then especially the ending line where it goes up and then comes back down. So it's just really interesting because it's like completely unexpected from the entire rest of the song that you've been hearing. Sorry, I can't talk on it more. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, to be completely honest. But moving on with my comments. I mean, we said that the song is really trendy and like because of that, the song is also really repetitive. Trendy also like you want it to be catchy and like get stuck in people's heads easily. Like how the dance will be easy to like watch a few times and follow along, the song would be easy to listen to a few times and like sing along. Even just hearing the chorus 3 times in the song for one listen, that section is already stuck in my head. It's also like a little bit playful, and the way that they sing throughout this entire song is very playful. They're just 기부려ing my Konglish.
They're flirting.
Sort of. Yeah.
It's flirty, but they're not flirting.
Yes, with like the facial expressions, and like I remember they're like playing with their hair a lot, things like that. And it was kind of like this when they were singing in So Bad too, where there's a lot of like bending, a lot of little inflections like up or down at like the beginning or ending of a phrase, line that they're singing. They'll like cut to the end of a syllable really quickly, like they won't hold out the vowel sound, they'll go straight to the consonant, which is very sort of like, they're not singing with 애교, but like, you know, in Korean where they're like, oh, 혀 짧아졌어. You know, when you're like, in Korean, when they describe like speaking with 애교 as like your tongue got shortened and you like go in that sort of voice. It's not that, but it's reminding me of that. It's like reminiscent of that, the way that they cut to the consonants really quickly. Overall, I'm just like, it's very trendy and it's very age appropriate for them. And like, it makes sense. Why do I sound so old saying that? I'm not that old. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. It's my turn to TLDR. So TLDR for this video is we reacted to STAYC for the first time today, Rookie girl group, and there are some things that we like expected and typically do see from Rookie K-pop groups, which they showed, but also they had other things as well that we didn't necessarily expect. But it seems like they have like a very clear sort of sound and image that they're going for right from the start. So we'll see if they continue with that in the future.
That being said, if you enjoyed this video, if you already knew and loved STAYC, or if like us this was your first experience with them and you're intrigued and curious to see where they go next, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe,
Ding!
turn on your notification bell.
ASAP.
Bye.
Bye!